Scott and I are back. We missed last week. I
I was
I
gonna say we
said
didn't we didn't miss.
we didn't
You
say
made the choice, which I
uh,
wasn't. You know, I mean, I'm good.
I gave you no warning that we would be listening to the vice presidential debate.
I didn't listen to it at all.
Oh, I did. It was heartwarming. It was good.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to talk about. At work,
Okay, I know. Go ahead.
we have a strict
No politics
no
rule.
politics rule, which I believe is probably a good
Rule for life.
rule for life. Well, I mean, here's the thing. What do I want to do? I want to draw comics. I want to sell comics. I want to, I want to do my thing. So I don't talk about politics.
It's a real good
I will
idea.
talk in person with people,
Yeah.
but I mean, people I don't know in real life,
Yeah.
I don't know them
There's
well
no
enough to
reason
convince them.
to activate a stalker right now who dislikes your opinion so much about something. But that's the deal. There shouldn't be anybody. I was walking along and I was just in one of those mindful moments of like I was at the grocery store. And it's like watching all these people and trying to attach like a bumper sticker to them on their political beliefs. And it's like, no, you wouldn't do that. You don't do that for people that are
No, not
out for a can of beans or whatever. And by the same token, you don't walk up and hit them in the face because they're out for a can of beans. And even if you go to the extreme, if they're at a protest, if you're at something that recognizes your political opinions, you don't walk up and hit them in the face over it.
generally. That's what civilized society is about.
Yeah.
We may differ on things, but we generally treat each other civil,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we're not animals.
Yeah.
Some people would argue that, but we're not animals. So I'm taking
Not
my
an
shoes and socks
animal.
off.
Who said that? I'm not an animal.
I am not an animal. That's from Planet of the Apes, wasn't it?
It's probably from Elephant Man, I think.
Oh,
Come to think of
okay.
it. Or maybe Hunchback of Notre Dame.
They both
Flyfox
fit.
Pro has joined us, and so has General Grudge.
Okay, first off, I like how Flyfox Pro says I was touching the screen just as a notification popped up and it took me here, which indicates that it was an accident. So
Yeah.
I'm offended. This should be purposeful. Uh, I'm teasing.
That's
General
the only way I
Grudge.
end up watching this show.
General
Accidentally.
General Grudge has been posting his copies of John Byrne art,
Oops.
and I need him to send me his address so I can go rob him. I'm joking about that, of course. General Grudge has modern John Byrne, and I'm using modern like post Superman John Byrne, but post 90s John Byrne.
Mhm.
One of the best example, or one of the greatest images I think that John Byrne did is a double page spread, and it's not Commandy, but it's like Commandy's son. It's from Generations 3, which was John Byrne's reimagining of the DC universe as it spans through time. He did 1 and 2. 1 and 2 were sequential. It was like there was a 50s, there was a 60s, there was 70s, and whatever, 80s or whatever. And so, Cam Commandy's daughter. So and he knows because I commented and said this is my favorite. It's a double page spread, but it's the first page is about a page and a half of an image of this Generations 3 Commandy character, which is the daughter of the granddaughter, I think, of the original Commandy, and then a tiger man kind of perched on some limbs, and they're looking at a city, I think, in the background. And then there's the other third of the remaining page on the right side of the double page spread is like 3 or 4 panels, and one of them is this great image of the character leaping through space that I just think is awesome. And Eric Larson decided to criticize that and redrew that figure, which makes it even more awesome in my mind. Just the idea that Eric Larson was so offended or by the art that he had to redraw John Byrne's art.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
he,
So
what gave him the authority to edit something like that?
well, I mean, it was just because I think Eric Larson hates John Byrne, and he is in several places. He's made corrections to John Byrne's art.
Huh.
And man, here's the thing: you know how much art John Byrne has drawn over the years?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
it's like
come
coming
on.
along and saying, "Look at all of Kirby's bad hands."
Look at it. Yeah, look at it. Look at
Kirby
this. He drew
took
the
2
finger
seconds with
square.
that hand. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. John Byrne is my favorite artist. Eric Larson is, it's different kind of deal. And I'm not going to criticize Eric Larson's art because I haven't seen enough of it to criticize. Even though I do have the first volume of the Savage Dragon Chronicles over there, but it's just anyway,
that's him.
it's just ridiculous. Okay, so that was the thing. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, Ellis,
Okay,
was
let's see it.
okay. So I've moved my department at work, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
We're now in a new room. If we're Facebook friends, I did a live video of the new room. My company built my department and 2 other departments this awesome room. They ripped out the acoustic tile. They ripped up the carpet. We're on concrete. The walls are white. They redid. They pulled the acoustic tile down, and it was just a mess of wire. They rewired the whole room so you don't see any wires. It's really cool. But in the course of moving, I had to clean out my desk because I have a desk in the back, and we have windows in the room now. We didn't have windows before, but I was in the back, and I found this frame, and so I thought, what can I put in that frame? And so I had a picture that I printed out to put in the frame. So this is the frame in the picture. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
I can kind of see it. It looks like
It's a watercolor.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes it better. My cousin did this. I think he emailed it to me. This is not an original. I printed it out, but I just think it's so cool.
This is the cousin that kind of got you into being a comic artist.
Exactly. That's what it's my cousin. So growing up, I grew up in a very, and I may have said this on the show, I grew up in a very artistic, creative family. Most of my family is musical. Most of them are musical, but I had a cousin that when I was in junior high, he was going to college for, I think he was getting a painting degree maybe, or some kind of art degree, but it was like a fine art degree, not like a commercial art degree. And they did take John Byrne's criticism. General Grudge says John Byrne was critical of early image artists and their laziness. They all looked like him. They all looked to him as a hero, and took it personally for the last 30 years. Yeah, that is true. Anyway. So my cousin, he was in college and he was going to art school or to get an art degree. And he showed me how to draw a bunch of stuff. And he was the first person that I knew that's like, hey, this guy's an artist for real. And he graduated. He got a job at Cimarron Pottery doing their ad. He would do their ads. Then he would do their signage, all their hand done signage in the store. And then when he wasn't doing that, he had to work on the floor. So even though knowing that it wasn't very glamorous and he didn't make a lot of money, that did not deter me. So anyway, so that was his watercolor painting, which I think it doesn't, you can't see a lot looking at it through the video, but I just think it's kind of cool. It's a dragon, and he has a real, him and I don't draw anything alike. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I mean, styles.
He's a real artist. I would say that. I mean, he's he's one of these artists that's I mean, when you think of like your stereotypical artist, that would be like my cousin Mario. But also with everything that goes along with it, let's put it that way, good and bad. But anyway, so
not having any money.
yeah, that's everything. I think he always kind of struggled with having money. I don't want to follow in those footsteps for sure. So the other big news, I kind of got a promotion today at work. It was kind of weird, kind of a backhanded thing, sort of. I'm now in charge of our sculpting department at my work,
Wow.
which is
Awesome.
pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if I talked about my work before, but I work at a company that makes awards called MTM Recognition. They do awards and like NASCAR trophies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sculpting department is a pretty big deal. They've done a bunch of large sculptures. Now, to be fair, a lot of that is starting to lean over into the 3D world, but so I kind of get in charge of something that may be on the wane. But
Oh, really, you won't get to touch or critique what comes out of 3D. You're just in
I'm the I'm
traditional.
the I'm the sculpt I'm traditional sculpting
Hmm, that's
so
interesting.
far, but part of it has to do with proximity because they were part of the departments that moved. So my goal, I'll say this, and I probably shouldn't say this because I copied this Facebook. My goal is to get all the art departments united at my company because there's a bunch of little bitty art departments all over the company. And three of them basically got united, or because it's going to be my department, which is called Tool and Die, and my new department, which is sculpting, and then 3D. The 3D department is moving in that room. So it remains to be seen if I'll be promoted over that department. I have a feeling that may not happen, but I'm okay with that. This is, when I say it's a backhanded promotion, what I mean is I haven't got a dime more money. And no one told me. I just looked on my thing and realized I had twice as many people whose time cards I had to approve.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the good thing is everybody seems really cool.
Well,
They've moved
as long as you're cool with the idea that they've given you something that is
work.
extra work, and
Yeah,
that
me. I don't mind. I enjoy working with other people, and and this is gonna sound really arrogant or whatever, but I enjoy managing people, and I've
hmm
been fortunate that I haven't had a lot of trouble,
yeah,
and
no,
I
no,
don't.
no. I mean, personalities, they go toward what
Yeah,
they should be doing.
I think that I think. Well, I think it's something that I have, a gift that I have of, and part
Well,
of it is, you just gotta have. I have a good attitude,
hmm
and that goes a long ways on a lot of this stuff. And management of my work just loves me. I mean, it's I got to. In fact, you know what I did today? The owner of the company is a elderly gentleman. Started the company like 50 years ago,
hmm
and he's had some health issues. He can't walk. I mean, he can walk a little bit, but he can't walk around the company. I would literally was asked to push him around the department and show him what we were doing and stuff. So I mean, I've never been asked to push the owner of a 85 million dollar a year company around in a wheelchair. And I got to talk to him, and I mean, he's a guy that hired me, so I know him.
hmm
But I mean, literally, they abandoned him with me. They're like, show him around and talk to him for a while. I'm like, okay, But I mean, me, I'll do it. That doesn't bother me.
Well,
But
yeah.
anyway, I mean,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
cool with that.
you're willing to go on social media and talk about it without being a whole terribly careful about it. That's all right.
Nah,
That's
no, no,
you
no,
know,
no, no, no. Uh, the
it would worry me.
whoa, wait a minute, cut the
But,
mic, cut the mic. No,
yeah,
no, I'm cool. I mean, like I said, I mean, since we've moved, I mean, people have come, the president of the company came to me and talked to me about what he expected out of us.
hmm
Uh, so I mean, it's one of those deals where they've opened the door. So if I can go through it, then
yeah,
it'll be good. They don't. I'll tell you something. If you're working at a company and you want to get a promotion, uh, just start doing the work.
sure.
You know.
No, no, that's Adam Carolla stuff. Also, be
Matt,
willing not to put too many notions of what it ought to be worth to them early on,
Sure.
and do like you're saying of saying, "Oh well, no extra money, maybe a slap instead of an actual compliment."
Oh, sure.
No, it's not. It's like the money will come.
Right. Well,
Eventually, or maybe that's just what guys like Corolla tell their underlings. The money will come, and
the money
maybe
will come eventually.
maybe he doesn't really mean it.
Here's the thing. I mean, my wife and I have both kept our job throughout all this pandemic.
Yeah.
If anything, we've done better financially. Now, there've been some setbacks. I'm expecting a $3,500 medical bill any day now for my little trip to the emergency room. But you know what? We've got our jobs. We haven't got sick. Our companies have been doing fairly well. If we get through the end of the year and we both keep our jobs and do not get sick, I will consider that a win.
A win. Yep.
A win.
Sure.
And
that's a win in life.
That's a win
in life without getting sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not too worried about the money at my work because I know my company's been hit pretty hard by this. Now Michelle's been pretty fortunate, but my company, I mean, we deal in NASCAR awards, and
that's about
a lot of that stuff has gone kaput.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of opportunity for us if we can make it through to the end. I believe, and so we just got to persevere. So I'm not too worried about they dumped more people on me and I'm not getting more money. When I got promoted in my current job, it was the biggest raise I've ever got at one time at that company, and I mean it wasn't huge. Don't get me wrong, but in case any of my coworkers listen, it wasn't huge. I don't want to blow any.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, nothing gets coworkers.
Like some kind of jealousy.
You don't want to start talking money a lot around work.
Nope. But at that point, I was like, okay, I will probably not make any more money here. And again, it's not. I know there are a lot of people up there make more than me. I don't care. I mean, you care, but I mean, money's not what gets me up in the morning. You know.
Me neither. No, what gets me up in the morning is this project. Here's what I did today. You know what this is? Can you see that?
Is it Conan? What is it? I'm a little bit behind you. Are you putting?
Okay. You're watching
okay.
YouTube.
Yeah, what is that? Is that C4? Is that plastic explosive?
That is now I'll give you another clue. There's two of them now. I'll give you another clue.
Oh, I saw from the title. You're juggling now.
Yeah. I'm doing some more juggling. And I bought a $6 super cheap pair of juggle balls.
Yeah.
And I hated them. And so I made my own. And guess what's inside of them?
Beans, dry beans.
No, I wish it was. That would be a better idea, and kind of cheap too. Come think of it. Two socks, two old socks.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
so they smell great. So they smell great too.
They're old socks and they smell great.
Yeah, they're old socks.
I think your sense of smell is dead.
Yeah. Oh no, it's me.
Okay. There's some chats I want to respond to.
Okay.
General Grudge. The reason why I got the job, I mean, literally was because somebody retired. They did not get laid off, thankfully. The head of sculpting did retire. Natas Saint says, where I work, they took away my job code. They put somebody equal to that job, but I'm not guaranteed. They put some, even if I hadn't had any even though I haven't had any write-ups or been told I suck by higher-ups. That is unfortunate. I guess, I hope that doesn't mean you're unemployed. I hope that you get the job, or you get a job, if not that job.
Get happy with where you're at, because that's what it sounds like. They're just shifting stuff around.
Maybe. General Grudge says, may not get me up in the morning, but sometimes it keeps me awake at night. I have been there. My wife and I have been very poor in the 30 plus years we've been married at various times, to the point of not having a car poor, which is very poor in Oklahoma because you can't get around Oklahoma City without a car. And I've been without a car multiple times. Fortunately, I'm at the money doesn't have to keep me awake at night, but a $3,500 medical bill does give me a little pause.
Makes you wince.
It makes me wince. It's not, but I'm like I said, my wife and I both have kept our job through this pandemic so far, so I feel very fortunate. And so I'm not going to be like I've got it. You put more people under me, I've got to get a raise. I'm more concerned that these people are. I'm going to say properly managed, but I don't really mean that like I'm going to crack the whip, but just that they have direction, and the ability to contribute and be, directed. And I told them that, my number one job, I told them I have two jobs. One is to make sure your time card is always correct so you get paid the right amount that you're supposed to. Yeah. I said, that's the most important thing I do. And I said, the second thing is, I want to make sure that to protect you guys, I always tell my people, I guess my old people, that if something were to happen, like something that somebody would get reprimanded for, let me be involved in it because I can take heat that some of my employees can't, because I've kind of made my bone. I always tell people, I've made my bones, like a mafia,
Mm-hmm.
I won several years ago, 3 years ago, actually, I won Employee of the Year, which is like the high. My work is big on, it's a trophy company, so they're big on giving out awards. And I won Employee of the Year, which is like the top award they give. And pretty much ever since then, all the upper management is very, accommodating to me, and
they're aware of you.
Oh, the president of the company texted me happy birthday.
Very cool.
So I mean, I think that stuff is kind of cool.
Well, to be honest with you, most of my places I've ever worked, I've almost like immediately tried to go into invisible man mode. I've not wanted anybody's attention. And, that obviously gets you what you would expect, pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I've got an employee that's kind of like that. And in fact, I've tried to kind of push him certain ways, and he's very resistant. So, I mean, I'm not going to push him. I just kind of suggested stuff. But, that's just not my style. I mean, you're a friend of mine, but you and I are completely different in that regard. Yeah. I'm a jump in. A
McLaren in the parking lot. A McLaren. Does that immediately evoke an image in your mind, Scott? McLaren. Yeah. I don't see it. Every now and then I'll read about somebody, some writer will write about a car.
McLaren's a very expensive car, supercar. McLaren is a racing company. A friend of mine manages a place that does auto tint, and on Facebook he'll put in, and I think they had a McLaren in there one day. The people come, they do auto tint and stereos.
For some reason, one of the main things I like to watch on YouTube is these guys that are passionate in car culture guys, and watching them take engines out and put them in like they were, playing with Legos, and just watching competent people do what for me are difficult tasks and watching them have great joy in it. I just dig that, It's like there's a couple of Aussies that I'm watching now that are just doing these remarkable things. I can't believe it. They're like into Subarus in a big way.
Hey, don't knock the Subaru.
Well, these guys, I'll send you some links.
No, send me the link. Yeah, I have for our listeners, I have a Subaru WRX, which I think is like the greatest car in the world.
Well, these Aussies would probably be right up your alley.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, man, my car's
they're all about digging into those Subarus and making them race.
Oh, it's the perfect car, and I don't even have a STI. I have a base actually, and it was
I used to love my Subaru Brat.
26,000.
I had two Subarus. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, really? I learned to drive in a Subaru Brat. My dad had a Subaru Brat when I was in high school. But
Hmm.
man, that WRX is so fun to drive, and I have never got it to spin the tires, and I've driven as fast as I could possibly drive the stinking thing. It is.
These Aussies would say, "Give that to us for a week." Well, that's what's
Yeah,
funny watching these.
you'll spin the tires.
I watched Mark of the Vampire today. Nasser says that he's our horror author that is constantly churning. I was reading today the works of. Well, I'm watching right now the ultimate movie. I've decided movie script, which is called The Professionals with Lee Marvin and Burt Lancaster and Robert Ryan and Woody Strode. And I got to tell you, I think it's probably something that Walter Hill probably cut his teeth on and said, "This is how you write a movie." And
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just so good. And Mark of the Vampire, though, I got to look it up now, Nasser,
Is that
because
a
I've
Hammer
no
movie?
doubt seen it. Yeah, well, Mark of the Vampire. Let me.
Well. So I have run out of things to watch. I watched The Boys and was
Ooh, isn't that awful, man?
just
Ooh,
underwhelmed.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just
I
like
watched every bit of it just because, after you've invested a little bit of time, it's like, well, it just shows you
gotta.
that stories force that from you. It's like you are invested, and then as bad as it might be, you want to see how it comes out.
Yeah, it was a little too sophomoric, and we gotta. Well, some of the let me. I don't want to. There's a. I think it's the next to the last episode has an ending that you're
Yeah,
just like,
don't do any
okay,
spoilers to anybody because you know why? Because
because people
I
haven't watched
saw
it.
an image that I could have swore was Homelander with his eyes poked out. And so I was forced because I said, damn these people and their spoilers, and just instantly got off that image. And then that forced me to watch all three segments all at once. And that is hard on your brain to watch that much of that crap all at
I
once.
think that's why they released it weekly like they did.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And
so
anyway,
anyway,
now I'm all
oh,
done. Go ahead, go ahead.
so I'm done with it, and so my schedule is usually before I go to bed. I'll watch something on. I don't, most of the time I'm drawn, so I'll watch something just to kind of let my brain unwind, and I'll draw on my sketchbook while I'm watching. So I'm always looking for something to watch. I've kind of run out of stuff, and I have Prime, and that's the only streaming service I have. I'm not getting any more, so
Yeah, yeah. No,
what I
that's a
got is
good
what I
reaction.
got.
Yeah.
Because it's all the time I want to spend on it, and there's plenty to see on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I started watching last night?
What?
The original Star Trek.
Oh,
I'd
really?
seen
Went
them
back to
on.
the old shows, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I'd watched them as a kid. Man, I tell you what. You should go at least watch because they had the pilot, which I'd never seen. Now they used part of it in one of the seasonal episodes.
Sure, sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
the
but
cage, the cage. Yeah.
the cage is the name of the original one, but part of it was in black and white, and it looks so much cooler in black and white.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's just like and some of the aesthetics just were tweaked just a little bit, and everything just looked a little bit tougher, man.
Yeah.
I dug it, but I think I'm gonna watch all those because, like I said, I haven't watched them since. I mean, when I was a kid, I watched Star Trek all the time. But I want to watch them again. I think.
Nasser, 1935, Todd Browning, Bela Lugosi. Yeah, yeah, that has got some really cool visuals in it. I've seen that recently, and probably was prompted. I don't know if Nasser was prompted by this, but it was because of uh, the show that Joe Dante does called Trailers from Hell, and that he, that show's mentioned. and some interesting trivia went along with it, of course. So I had to see it, and it is a cool movie.
That's the what was it? Mark of the Vampire or Mark of Dracula?
Mark of the Vampire, yeah. It's really kind of a not much of a horror story, but it's just visually, it's got a lot of visual gifts.
General Grudge watched the first episode of The Boys and quit there. That was probably the best. I've seen it, but it's.
Well, they're all set up. They could continue, I guess, and they've got like a policy. This may be Netflix. I guess Netflix thinks shorter is better. The max is 3 seasons from them, and I think they've got a good point. It's like all these people. You don't want to show morphing into something that's not what you got into. Why? If you had some enthusiasm for something, why watch it through some sort of change and watch somebody, like gain 50 pounds or something like that and have to hang with it or whatever,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not a big TV guy, even though I watch a little bit every night. But I mean, most of the stuff I watch is old. I mean, I'm watching Star Trek, okay?
Yeah.
I'm probably not the target audience for any of this crap.
Well, I'm watching that old movie in the '60s, late '60s, The Professionals, and it is a nice piece of this. Richard Brooks talks about, his writing experiences, and this is for Nasser. He wrote a short story every day. And as a matter of fact, he found it compulsion. He should be on to longer stuff, but he had to write a short story every day.
He had to complete it.
Yeah, he just had a compulsion when he was starting out to write a short story every day. But at the same time, I think that's the way to do it. And he would do things like, hack the fables. He would go through all the fables and write his own story based out of, Jack and the Beanstalk and all that kind of stuff. And that's the way a writer ought to be. He ought to just be almost like a nervous twitch. He ought to be writing compulsion. All the time.
I like that. I have a friend. It's the teenage daughter of one of my best friends from high school, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but she is becoming an artist, and she's quizzing me with all these questions. Then I get Instagram messages from her. Is this good? Which I think, I mean, it's kind of funny, but and she's like, well, what if I'm not inspired? And I keep telling her that, and I think this applies to all kind of creative endeavors. If you do it, you just do it. And I was trying to explain to her, if you keep drawing, and challenge yourself, eventually get to where you can't stop. And I wish I'd come up with the word compulsion, because I think that's a good description for that.
Form. You want a good habit. I mean,
sure.
What do you want to do? General Grudge, The Boys represented everything that changed about superhero comic books when I had to quit buying them 18 or so years ago.
Yep.
I find hero deconstruction boring, and that's what they're doing. They're saying, here we've got a horror story. That's what you'd have to actually be dealing with if there were such a thing as superheroes. And yes, that has made for a couple of recent good horror stories. You don't want to be around somebody that can rip your head off, but if they've got a mental illness, it's just another thing that can rip your head off. It doesn't have to be from another world. It can, I guess it kind of would be from another world if it was a superhero.
I think the problem with hero deconstruction in comics is it was a trick, one trick that became almost like a genre. Now it's like a staple of the genre.
Well, yeah, it's
superheroes.
Like the whole idea of a smart ass. Meta humor that's just the way it is nowadays. I mean, there used to be like guys that constructed sight gags, and that was humor at a period. And even like I mean, it just doesn't comment as much on real life the way. Maybe it is real life. After all, we're so afflicted with our brains are so afflicted with pop culture. Maybe
Yeah, yeah,
maybe somebody not being able to say stuff without it being like a meta is real life now. I don't know.
yeah.
So.
That could be. I don't know. I told my wife I've thought about it, and I decided I preferred the 20th century.
Yeah.
I'm
Nasha
but
International says Brightburn. Don't want to watch that one. Yeah, that's the total horror take on superheroes, which I guess it's directed by the guy who got in
Brightburn.
trouble. Yeah, Brightburn is directed by the guy that directed the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
What's
James
his
Gunn.
name? James Gunn. Yes.
Oh, there was this. I assume this was his post
Yeah.
or pre Guardians or post
Would
Guardians.
he even get in trouble nowadays? He got
What did he get in trouble for?
he got slammed for being insensitive to things. I forget what the things were, but he was always a guy that was trying to get
Oh, it's like
laughs by being
edgy kind of humor kind of
yeah.
stuff.
He was always an edgy, kind of nasty kind of guy that if it made you laugh, it made you laugh, but he didn't care if it made you laugh. Not particularly nasty. It was just, like I say, like you said, edgy. Yeah, for instance, he directed a YouTube series where wouldn't it be funny if we had human beings that were mixed with chimpanzees that you could send off for and make slaves out of?
Oh gosh.
And it was just this. It was called Humanzy, I think. And it was just, pretty degrading and dumb stuff that about treating this almost a human in a real degrading fashion. But I don't know that, you could get a couple of laughs out of it if you really went fishing for it,
Yeah, but you got to know that the mob's going to come for you on that one.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. That
this
thing
is pre-mob. Yeah,
it may have been memory hold at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. General Grudge said society's gotten so well. It's on the screen. So bad now they don't even understand how to write a hero now is representative of how low our culture has dropped. I could not agree more. Okay, so this is page 17 of my comic. I screwed up and accidentally skipped this, but I have 4 pages left to ink and I'm done. And
look at you ink with that. What do you got there? One of those
rapidograph.
Is that? Oh yeah,
0.45.
Well, that's better than anything you could come up with to ink with. Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, these are the set of rapidographs I had in college. So that'll tell you how long rapidographs
treat them right, and they'll treat you right. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a car, man. Clean out the ink and don't let it dry in there.
Yeah.
And you're good to go. So okay. So General Grudge jokingly said, "Money kept him awake at night, or lack of money." Lack of my next project has kept me awake at night. Not really, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that unless something comes up out of this, I'm just going to keep making comics like I like. And if and it's going to be like your traditional kind of superhero stuff. And if people like it and I can find a way to sell it, I will. And if not, I'll just draw it for myself. I don't care. I've decided I don't care. I don't know what the future of the industry is. I'm not too worried about it. I don't get I've long past got the point where I'm like, I want to be a comic artist and be famous or anything like that. That was not, really much of a thing for me anyway. And I've decided that the comics I like, they don't make anymore generally. So it's like, well, if Marvel doesn't hire me, that's okay, because the Marvel that I would want to work for is not in business anymore. Yeah, they're not in business anymore. So it's like, I I'm just going to do my thing. And
no, that's the way everybody ought to be. I mean, this ability to have web comics and all that. Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing. I'll just do it, and if it finds an audience, it finds an audience.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
If you had to make money, you should obviously build a YouTube audience first nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I should be doing. But
yeah.
we'll
Because that
see.
dodge, it just amazes me. I'm amazed by, like I say, those Australians that have been at it for 20 years, apparently, or an ungodly number of years. That showed them when they were kids, but they built such an audience that now I guess it's what they do for a living, is show their joy in their cars and on their YouTube channel. Yeah, the James Gunn. He did try to get Roseanne hung up, didn't he? I wonder why.
Did?
I wonder why any of those people, why they went for just such a quick snap judgment. It just goes to show you that everybody was aware, even though it was kind of like a sub part of Roseanne, that she was kind of like pro-Trump. Everybody instantly, that's all they saw about her. She was no longer charming. She could no longer come out and bungle the Star Spangled Banner anymore. She wasn't somebody that could get away with it. The moment she came out semi-supporting of Trump, all of a sudden, everything she's going to do
Trump derangement syndrome. That's what it is, man.
Exactly.
Why would somebody?
And when you think about it, a little quick throwaway comment that someone might look like, our favorite Iranian president, Valerie Jarrett, might look like Tim Burton's makeup for one of the apes in Planet of the Apes. And then when you compare the photos that she's talking about, it's like, okay, I can see it. It's like there's a
I haven't heard that comment, and I don't really know who Valerie Jarrett is. I mean, I know the name, but I don't know what she looks like. I'm assuming she's an African American woman.
No, she's half Iranian, half I guess she might be half semi-black, but she doesn't look at all black. And
okay.
What she's got is a big arch, a big upper dental arch. That, makes her lips
almost like kind of muzzle-like looking.
Yeah, she's got a big muzzle on her, and it looks very much like that particular makeup of I guess it was Tim Burton's girlfriend.
What was her name?
The ape we're talking about.
There's a talk show where the lady kind of looks like that. She has and to me she looks almost like a lion or something. It's like, whoa. I don't know who it is. We watched it. I'm at work now, so I don't watch talk shows. My wife is still home though. I mean, she's working, but she's working here at the house.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh yeah, you're back at work. Have you?
Yep.
This guy looks like the Thing, the James Arnaz version. Which, when you think about it, that wasn't much of a character makeup. Put a big guy in overalls.
When you said that, I was like, Ben Grimm. What James Arnaz did Ben Grimm? Not that thing.
Not that thing. What movie you know what? We were about to see an all-time classic before we quit all having the Classic Cinema podcast. We were going to see your movie. Do you even remember what your movie pick was?
The Terror from Beyond Space.
The Terror from Beyond Space. Have you still not seen it?
No. We haven't recorded.
Well, I know, but that's the point. You could have maybe gone ahead and watched it or something.
Yes, I could have ordered it on Amazon and watched it, but I wanted to watch it with my friends and do a podcast about it. But the stupid pandemic lasted longer than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get to.
I always love that line. I always like macho lines. You remember the macho stuff in your little adventure movies. It was like one of the guys gets disgusted watching turning the thing into ashes and goo and everything, basically electrocuting him.
Yeah.
And the guy says, turn it off. And the guy says, no, we don't want any of it left. It's like just one of those moments I always remember. It's like, yeah, burn it. Fire.
Burn it with fire.
Yeah.
No doubt. Anyway, but yeah, so I kind of hosed myself because I skipped page 17 when I was inking. And so I should have 3 pages left, but I discovered yesterday when I was scanning pencils, I found this page of pencils, which had been scanned, but it just never made it to the top of the ink page. So
you are busily getting them all inked and almost got it done, huh?
yeah, I'm ready to. Well, the sad thing is, the company that's going to put it out is SourcePoint Press, and they do a lot of comic shows, but they haven't done a lot of comic shows lately. And so I don't know if it's like, well, I could finish it, but it's like, how long is it going to be before they release it? What has this pandemic done to their release schedule? What, I don't want it to be released and not be promoted at a convention. So
yeah. Oh man, at this point you have got so. I've never worked that hard on any project you could name, other than maybe a video game, and it's like that's just an incredible. I've worked for a couple of years on video games that got canceled, and it's amazing because in that context you realize that guys they don't mind. It's like, okay, it's time to cancel this. It's time to put a cork in it instead of spending any more money on it, which is kind of amazing, but there's nothing to recover after that point. It's
well, yeah, that's that. Yeah, but
it was just a mistake, and you can't go back for. Well, you might, maybe a programmer could say, I was working on this or that. I'm going to, the experience. You can always say you got some experience out of something.
Sure. Well, I hope this isn't an experience.
No, that's the deal. You don't have anything like that there. That doesn't represent anything like that there, because we got paid.
Yeah,
we were working all along.
I was getting paid. Though, again, the idea that I have a day job, I'm in charge of the sculpting department, so I can. I don't have to worry about getting paid, but I want the book to come out, man.
Yeah, sure.
Or books. There's 4 of them at this point. By the way, I told Michelle. So my old title was crew leader, tool and die. I was the crew leader for the tool and die department, which basically means I ran, the department. And I told Michelle, I go, I will, and we would meet people, and they'd be like, well, what do you do? And I'd always tell them, well, I'm the crew leader for our tool and die department. And they'd look at me funny. Mm-hmm. And so now I can tell people I'm in charge of our sculpting department. No one will question that. That sounds much more impressive, I think. To somebody that doesn't know anything.
Yeah. You want that title.
Yeah, get the cheap pop. Would you spill some ink on your Wacom?
No. I just did something I didn't want to do, but I just deleted it.
Gotcha.
I did it again.
The definition of insanity.
That's right. Well, it's just that they've got a button where I didn't think it was there, but that's where it's at. And there we go.
And it hasn't moved.
Yeah, it hasn't moved anywhere.
It's still in that same spot.
Yeah. How long have we been at it? What would you guess?
About 50 minutes.
Let me look. You're almost right.
At the clock.
Oh, you
looked at the clock. What's the clock?
48:59. You are correct, sir.
Oh.
I am just now finishing up dog stories by what's his name? The guy that wrote all the dog stories.
You're talking about not the All Creatures Great and Small guy.
No, Jack London, right?
Oh, Jack London. Okay, no. I'm thinking of somebody else. Okay, Jack London. It's a book of dog stories.
Who wrote? You? I guess everybody's had to read the story in school where I think it's called The Last Match or To Light a Fire. Yeah, that's what it's called. To Light a Fire, where a guy he knows he's going to freeze to death, And I think London, did this himself. He got gold fever and went up there and realized it was the stupidest thing you could ever do. But he kind of took notes about, all these men that came, for a dream of being rich, tromping around in this environment that could kill you. And that's what To Light a Fire is about, where a guy gets up there and he needs to light that fire or he's going to freeze to death.
Hey, if it were easy, everybody'd do it.
That's right. Yeah.
Nothing. I'll say this about you said I've worked on this harder than you've ever worked on anything or something. I think you said
right,
that.
Something like that.
Nothing worthwhile is ever easy, Ellis.
Did somebody say that? It was.
I'm saying that to you. That's my
quotable.
Advice to you.
Okay, that's your advice.
But I didn't make it. People told me that. So.
Well, is that true though?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I wouldn't say. I would say if something was worthwhile and easy, then everybody would do it.
Right.
I'd say that. That's true. I mean, I know tons of people that say, "Man, I want to work in comics," but then it's like, well,
no, yeah, it's so labor intensive.
Do you really want to work in comics?
Anybody that's doing like a drawing a week or something like that and thinks like knocking off a little bit of a manga copy and they think they're developing a passion for it. You need to probably work for a little while as an animator or something. Get some job that just puts you through a grind on drawing first, and then decide you're going to be a comic book artist. Because you need to understand it's quite a grind.
You have to have the compulsion.
Old Brubaker, the guy that is just such a whiz, Jason Brubaker, he's a whiz. And he used that talent for big bucks and walked away from it because what he was doing as a storyboard artist was such a grind. It's one of those things that you've got to say, you need to depressurize after some of the stuff you have to go through after a big session of storytelling like that.
That's funny you say that because I think storyboarding is where a lot of comic artists think is they want to land at.
Their natural thing. No, it's
like I want to. That's
work,
what I want.
A lot more work
than comics.
Oh yeah, storyboarding. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Especially cartoon storyboarding.
Oh yeah,
cartoon
because they storyboard everything.
Is practically, it's just a step up from.
Animation.
Yeah. You can animate it to an extent. It's just like instead of on twos, you're on like every 10th frame or something like that. It may not be that bad, but it's pretty bad. You gotta be able to tell your story. Now,
my understanding is a lot of the storyboards and animation now are just sent to like Korea, and then used as the storyboards are used as like the first step in animation. And they send it overseas to animators.
I think what you want to do is
that's what I hear.
Well, I think it's you send the storyboards to Korea. You don't take you don't let that step out of your hands. You send the storyboards.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay. The storyboards they don't do like rough animation like normally. They just do detailed storyboards. And send it to an animation house somewhere overseas.
That's right. Yeah, sure.
And then they go off the storyboard. So if the storyboards are not good, you're only getting out what you send in.
That's right.
There's no corrective step because it's all.
Because for one thing, they don't get it. They don't get the gags sometimes. It's like you got to have it all timed out, and since timing is so important, you got to tell them what you want.
In my work, I send art to a factory we work with in China to have product made, and you can't count on them to fix any kind of mistakes because they don't know you're supposed to fix it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of my time is like, okay, you got to make this better, and I have to dicker with them and go, well, I know you can do this because you did it
because you did it
You know,
before.
I'll tell. Yeah, you did this 2 days ago. This exact same thing. How come you're telling me you can't do it now? That's What's funny is
Because we worked the guy to death that did it before. I'm kidding.
well, yeah, he died.
He died. He died doing the job.
Yeah, he got beat because he complained about his fingers hurting. So
we beat him to death.
no, that you talk about doing things just for the sake of doing it. That is one thing at my work that I do, because they were trying to get me to be the guy that approves all this stuff. And my boss was like, "No, I don't want you taking that responsibility on." And then someone kind of confronted him about it and said, "Well, this needs to be checked, and Scott's the right person to check it because he understands the manufacturing process."
Mm-hmm.
And I told my boss, I said, there will be a day where I'll be in your office and I will regret this, because I will have approved something that got made wrong. I said, but I still think,
oh yeah,
for the lessen
that's
that
a big
chance
worry,
of that happening. Oh my gosh, dude! There was one time they called me, and it was an order that had 85,000 pieces.
Oh my!
And they were like, "This is wrong." It was the president of the company called me. This is wrong. What are we going to do about this? And how do you answer that? Luckily, well, it's funny. The pandemic saved my bacon on that deal. Because of the pandemic, the factory in China had not produced the pieces yet. They had done sample pieces.
Wow, cool.
Oh god, yeah, that was
you were
bad.
being looked after on that one,
dude. Yeah, Jesus was watching out for me that day, and I am not being sarcastic. I don't say that lightly. That was one of those days where the good Lord was keeping me in mind, because and you talk about staying awake at night. I didn't find out for like 4 days later that was the case. It's like, oh my god! I mean, I thought
that's the sort of thing I wouldn't get a wink of sleep if I'd been going to be held responsible for something like that.
Well, I was just like, yeah, whatever happened. I mean, at some point, you're just like, yeah, you can't worry about it too much. But yeah. Luckily, that can't. Yeah, I mean, that makes me uptight just thinking about that.
General Grudge asked me what games did I work on. I worked on in a company. I started at a company called Leland Corporation in El Cajon, California, and I got to work on arcade games. We did Ivan Stewart's Iron Man Off-Road.
Oh, cool! What'd you draw on that?
I didn't do anything on it. Or if I did, I can't remember what it was. But that was, someone made a note today talking about Akira, the animation on Akira.
Yeah.
That 3/4 top down is the most hardest thing to draw in animation. You never see it. You never see animators drawing it, because for one thing, it almost always looks dull as hell.
Yeah.
And it's also really hard to draw. Well, that is probably about 90% of the art I did. It seems like in some of the games I worked on, and some of the games that got canceled was 3/4 top down, having to draw little sprites.
I blame Zaxxon.
Yeah, exactly. No. That is a common game perspective, but at the same time, it's really hard to draw, and draw in an interesting way. So I worked on that, and I worked at Leland. We also had a time where we worked on the reissue of Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. We were the original company that put those out, and we were on the second generation of putting them out too. We had a new Laserdisc cabinet that came out, and we went to a convention in Vegas and sold those. And then after that, I got hired by Blue Sky. That's where I met Doug, and we worked on everything from Vector Man to Jurassic Park. I did a lot of the Jurassic Park animation based on doing film, captures of stuff that came straight from Stan Winston's. But it wasn't Stan Winston that did the character. It was Phil Tippett, a Phil Tippett model of the Raptor. and got to do well. No, Doug was all the raptor. I did the one that looks like an ostrich that the character rides, but we had that model, which was really cool. Yeah, yeah. Doug.
Hang on.
didn't tell it.
Whoa. Okay, so stop for just a second.
Okay.
So, okay, well, first off, you said you had the model. You meant like a 3D model or a
We
prop?
had the model that Phil Tippett was still on board with Jurassic Park because they were thinking they did not know for absolute sure that they weren't going to be doing traditional stop motion animation for their dinosaurs at that point.
Right, because it was
And,
brand new.
and Phil, yeah, so Phil Tippett was around on board making models. I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out where undo was at.
Control Z.
yeah, I figured it out eventually. But yeah, and so we got basically at that point where it's like, here, you can have this. We aren't going to be using it. We got the Raptor that he had been using to make, and like Doug, demonstrated that thing and was just marveling at it because he dabbled at making, animation puppets before, where you just use that good armature wire inside of them to bend them where you want it. No, this is the full armatures that
with this jointed.
Yeah, they're all jointed and got special joints and all that. So you would push this model around and it would just stick wherever you put it, without any fight whatsoever. And of course, it's like, oh, this is going to be fun,
So I have now. Here's my second question about that. You said you did what did you did animation? What'd you do?
Yeah, I did the capture and the animation touch up on all the. It's got to turn into 8-bit artwork. So I did the captures and then the further reduction of it down to the animation, the run cycle, walk cycle, and
so were you drawing this in the computer?
I was drawing it on a PC with Deluxe Paint. Was the big program we used back then.
Oh wow! So you were oh gosh.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day. Now I don't know what year you're talking about here, but back in the early '90s, I got I got the game Escape from Castle Wolfenstein, or maybe it was Castle Wolfenstein, and you could get off the BBSs an editor that would allow you to go in and pull out the animation frame by frame, and you could see how they did it. And if you chose, you could edit all that and
make
like
your own
a
characters and stuff. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, I kind of messed with that for about 30 minutes. I never had the patience for that kind of thing.
No, it does take a little patience.
Oh god.
But I was never, I wasn't all that gifted at it, but there were some people that I would just marvel at their ability to, because what you had to do was pick smart colors to alias and alias your artwork and make it blend and basically become a painter, kind of.
A very low resolution painter.
Yes, very low resolution painter. That was takes a lot of skill to do that good.
That's pretty cool. So what was the game? So I think I've told this story before. You and I were at the mall one time, and we stopped at a store called Lids, which sells hats, baseball caps. And the guy there, you were wearing was a Konami shirt? Or what were you wearing? You had a shirt on that from the company you had worked for.
Yeah.
And the guy there was like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" It was like a polo shirt that had the logo embroidered on it. And the guy said, you told him, you said, "Oh well, I worked at when I lived in California. I worked at this company. This is here in Oklahoma. Worked in the company, and you told him you had worked on some particular game, and he freaked out because it was his favorite game ever."
Yeah.
What was the game that you told?
We worked on a version of Mortal Kombat. This was that should.
Is that what the game was?
the company's name net back now, but I can't really remember it. It's a big Chicago company that's
Midway.
Yes, is associated with pinballs as anything. Yeah, you're ahead of me on everything. Yeah,
Well,
it's funny. That just shows you that it harkens back to the fact that the old arcade games where all these guys, they still had their money, and so they were transitioning into console games, but they were probably all better off back
with
in the
pinball.
days when they were pinball makers.
Oh, maybe. Probably not, though.
No,
Depends on
better.
what era of video games they were in.
Well, you don't realize it, but until you do some basic math. But when you're done selling those arcade games, you get to sell them for I know you're going to make a fortune from people sticking quarters in this, so I can ask you for, $2,000 for a cabinet. Well, after you do the math on saying that, give me 1,000 of those. 1,000 times 2,000 turns into real money real quick,
Yeah.
And if it's just a bunch of fiber board and a chip in it and a TV, you've made some profit,
Yeah. Well, you got to pay to get the games made.
Yeah.
You got paid little Ellis and little Tenapple to make these games.
Yeah. Hey, General Grudge, thank you for ordering that physical copy of my last comic from Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. It is fun to page through.
It's cool because it's got
and
the
Nasser
based
has
off our movies.
Yeah,
Nasser's left. Oh, it's 10 after 8, so
it's time to go. Hey guys, everybody! So thanks
time.
for giving us a whole lot of prompts tonight and everything like that.
Yeah,
thanks.
Thank you very much for joining us. I hope it was mildly entertaining.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I always enjoy talking to Ellis.
Yeah. Okay. End of podcast. We'll see everybody.